Hi class, this is Leanne Alexander. I want to talk with you today about week 1. Welcome to the course, and hopefully by now you've already looked at Canvas and you've seen that I've set Canvas up so that the modules tab is the home page, and each week you'll have a list of the assignments you'll need to do after you complete your reading from the Files tab of Canvas. So hopefully that's clear. Let me know if you have any questions about how to access the different files and readings you need for the course, and we'll be happy to take care of any class business like that. So let me know if you have any questions. But I do want to jump today right into the actual content for week 1. You're going to be reading from a variety of texts throughout the semester, and I mentioned in another orientation video that my vision for this class is a little different than the typical literature class in the way it's taught. So usually a professor would have you buy a book something like this, and this is the Longman Anthology of World Literature. And so you see a nice little boat anchor here for your use. And I tried this textbook once, but I have a very different concept. Instead of starting with reading number 1 in the ancient world and then slowly working our way back through, oh, there's the Odyssey, and oh, there's the Sir Gawain and the Green Knight, and on we go, and finally, oh, hey, here's the 19th century. I have a different method. I want us to go ahead and start with some contemporary literature that we can get our heads around, written right now and in the last 25 years, and then we're slowly over the course of the semester going to work our way backwards and see, as we get to the end of the course, how contemporary literature builds on those foundations from the past. I think that's going to just make it a lot easier to jump into the course, talk, dialogue, discuss what we're reading with texts that are easy to understand, and then slowly as we get back to the texts from Middle English and with the language that's a little less accessible, we've already got a good pace down for the class, a good sense of community. It'll be easier to walk through that discussion. So that's a little bit about my rationale. What that means is that this week you are reading an excerpt from the novel Peace Like a River. I've given some information about the novel and about what the author's background is, those kinds of things. And I should say on a personal note, Peace Like a River was a game changer for me in the way I read, because I will confess to you, I was a bit of a literary snob until I read that novel, and my concept of Christian fiction was the prairie romance formula stuff that I didn't feel was really at that level of literature. You're going to see in the PowerPoint that I have a grid, and my personal belief, influenced by some others, is that what makes something different from just a good book and over into that bracket of real literature is that it deals with timeless human condition issues, has universal themes that every culture can relate to, and the work has an artistic feel to it. There's quality craftsmanship, if I can use that phrase, that there's an artistic element at play in the literature. Much the same way that you would look at a visual arts class or an art history, art appreciation class, and as you look at music, as you look at paintings, as you look at sculpture, there are some artistic elements that you anticipate that sets something apart from being someone's being a good piece of art, and then being something that would be something studied 1,000 years from now in an art class. Same kind of concept goes to how we study literature. Peace Like a River, when I read that novel and saw the level of excellence, the creativity, the originality that Leif Inger brought to that novel, it really made me stop and check myself and recognize there are Christian artists that are committed to their craft and who can write with excellence. So from a personal standpoint, that's why I really want to get this reading right up front in the course. I hope that you'll actually be inspired from the reading to want to order the novel and read it in its entirety a little later this summer, because it really is an excellent take on faith. And so the word miracle you're going to see pop up, and I want you to think about what that word means as you do the reading. Perhaps that will even factor into your discussion postings for the week. But I do want you to think deeply about that novel, Peace Like a River. Now, the other thing is that as much as I'm saying we're starting contemporary, which Peace Like a River is, even though it's set some 50 years ago, it was written here in the last 20 years. But as you finish that reading, or right before, you'll also see that I'm asking you to read from the Bible. Now, obviously, that's the exception to my vision of let's start with contemporary fiction and we're going to work our way back in history. And the reason is, of course, that the Bible is different. We're in an entirely different category. In fact, some maybe theologians, maybe some religious leaders today would have a problem even with this idea of let's study the Bible as literature, because they would say it's on a different level. We're not looking to it to say, oh, what are the artistic, merits here? And so I understand that, and the way I'm asking you to read the Bible, I mean, certainly we hope that the Lord will speak to you as you read His Word, and that's fine, but we're doing something a little different with this class, and that we are using it to help us get some insight as we start the process of critical reading. And so as you read Psalm 23, as you read Psalm 137, as you read into Ecclesiastes, I hope that you're going to pick up on elements of poetry. And I hope that the imagery, that the symbolism that you see will challenge you to recognize that while the Bible's primary value, of course, is that it's God's word for us, for our lives, and it's infallible, and it gives us direction, and all of those things which are absolutely true, I also hope that you will recognize in just a slightly different way that the Bible also has value in how it shapes our sense of literature and art. And so while we'll talk about the King James Version when we study Shakespeare, I do believe that you'll see as we move forward into the course that the Bible certainly influences many writers, and throughout time it has shaped literature. So it'll be interesting to watch that play out over the course of the semester. I do want to make sure, because I just added it today, I do want you to download, if you haven't, this file is my class notes, really from teaching the class when I typically would teach in person or in a coffee shop or something like that. This is The Bible is Literature, my class notes. And I want you to take a look, because obviously I don't have time to do a 40-minute lecture here, and I'm going to try to wrap up this video here in the next minute. But it's important that you see some of the fundamental terminology that I would typically share in a class in our opening session as we study the Bible, and use it as a jumping off, a springboard for the class. And so we've got some terminologies highlighted here. Analogies, symbolism, anecdotes, setting, metaphor, imagery, tone, all of these kinds of things. I want you to read over that, be familiar with it, and through maybe the discussion posting that you'll do this week, or if you want to email me if you have questions or any of this is unclear, I do want you to get your head around this, again, this terminology, so as we work through the class and start to analyze the different readings that we will look at the next 6 weeks, I want you to be prepared to apply this terminology in this framework. And so from that, I hope as you dig into this week's reading, you'll see what I've proposed in my vision for the class, and that is that all of the world's great literature across cultures, across history, always connects back to these questions of faith and spirituality. And this week certainly reflects that in the Peace Like a River reading, and then of course we're reading the Bible to kind of start us down this journey of looking through literature. So I look forward to reading your discussion posts. I'm excited about the discussion as you each begin to comment on one another's ideas about the text and the reading. I think it's going to be great. You'll also, of course, want to weave in the textbook reading that I've borrowed to talk about literary criticism theory. That material will be the framework that we'll use in your first paper, and in each of the weekly discussion postings. How do you talk about literature? For this discussion post, let's say you want to talk about Peace Like a River. Well, what do you say? Do you say, hey, this was a neat book. I thought the characters were interesting. I thought the plot was really great, and I couldn't put the chapter down. All of those things are great, and that shows that the writer has done a good job, but that could be said of anything. We have literary critical theories and theories of literary criticism, I should say, so that we can use each of them. Basically, it's like putting on a pair of glasses. And so you have a lens that shows us what's happening between the different classes in the society in the text we're studying. That would be the Marxist lens. We're putting on a Marxist pair of glasses, and we're going to do a Marxist reading of the text. And then you'll see from the reading, then there are also, we can do a gender studies reading of the text. So we put down the Marxist glasses. Now we pick up the gender studies glasses. And now with that lens, we look at what the text has to say about how male and female interact, and what the author could be suggesting is happening in a certain society in terms of any struggle between male and female and the way society treats them. And so on and on, the chapter will give you all the different types of literary criticism that you would study when you have a literature course. I want you to go ahead and read that up front. So over the next 6 weeks, with each reading that we have, think about from these different perspectives, and then for your paper, which will be coming right up, you can pick which type of literary criticism you want to use and then which text you want to study, and you'll write a paper asking those questions and answering them from evidence within the text. So I hope this information helps you in getting a good start this first week. I'm really looking forward to seeing your discussion posts. So to put it all in sum, for this week, you should, by Wednesday night at midnight, you will post a discussion post of at least 200 words. It can be more if it takes that to express your unique idea about your text in response to the prompt. And then you will, of course, have completed the reading, so you will take the quiz online in the Module 1 section, and you'll need to do that by Saturday night at midnight. Preferably you're going to do that earlier, but that's just to show you how much time you have. And then you are going to also, by midnight Saturday night, I want you to have responded to at least 2 other students, their postings, about a paragraph where you really give some substantial feedback and some thought to their ideas. So hopefully that gives you direction on how to get started this first week, and the more you can read ahead and be getting ready for what's up to come, that'll be even better. I'm really looking forward to the conversation. Everybody have a great week. Thank you.